I'll tell you something. We usually talk about the parasympathetic system as the brake of the nervous system, but what we're missing out here is there are two flavors for this brake, and it has a lot to do with how you grew up and what you learned as you were growing up. So we've heard it before. The sympathetic is like this mobilizing energy. It's almost like the accelerator. Well, the parasympathetic is almost like the brake. Parasympathetic is delivered to us by the very famous vagus nerve. Everyone talks about the vagus nerve. That's what the vagus nerve does. It is the brake of the nervous system. So when something gets too much, too fast, too soon, too often, the nervous system is either going to choose the accelerator, so you fight, or you run away, or it's going to put on the brake, so you immobilize, and that's one of the ways that you protect yourself by basically playing dead. And that's that brake that we're very familiar with. Is the one that comes through what we call dorsal vagal, which is the collapse, which is the animal that you see in the wild, that when he sees a threat, it just goes legs up and pretends it's dead. And it's also the one we usually talk about because that's the one that gets engaged in the freeze state. In freeze state is when the accelerator, which is your sympathetic, comes online at the same time as your brake, specifically the dorsal vagal brake. But see, there is another kind of brake that we don't talk about very often, and that is the ventral vagal brake. See, the dorsal vagal brake, which is this immobilized brake, it actually is something we're born with. When you look at little kids, when you look at babies, when they get too overwhelmed, they pass out. They actually fall asleep. They immobilize themselves because that's the only defense that they have. They cannot fight and they cannot fly away. But as they grow, they learn to develop the ventral vagal brake. And this is the brake that comes from being in attunement with an adult that is there to support us, to hold us, to look after us when things get too much. It is the brake of co-regulation. And what happens is that there are many adults out there that never develop the ventral vagal brake. They only have the collapse brake. And you see them in everyday life. When things get too much, their first instinct is to go in, to immobilize. They might work really hard during the week, but they come home and they just pass out in the couch with no desire to engage with life because it is just so exhausting. The ventral vagal brake, on the other hand, is these people that actually energize themselves by going out for walks in nature, by listening to music, by having a great day with one of their best friends. And depending which brake is the one that you actually engage, the ventral vagal, the dorsal vagal, which one is your go-to, is such a different life. The good news is, even if you did not develop the ventral vagal brake, you can still do that. You can still teach your nervous system to start engaging that brake, the brake of safety and connection. And you do that by starting to embody the glimmers that show up in your life, the ways in which you can engage with life and get this happiness within you, this good, comfortable feeling within you. Yes, it is true that the way we grew up highly influences the way we live life, but it doesn't have to be the only way we live life.